That's when tackle football began. And at that point, I was 4 toothpicks.
Yeah, you were very skinny.
Attached to 1 toothpick. I would have been snapped in 5 different places.
Yeah.
Pooping my pants as an adult twice. I could say that. But like, I don't know. For
also,
me,
who cares?
I'm not like, I was like, I don't like, I think it's funny. I like at 18 years old started balding. The receding hairline was like back here in the middle of my head. The only thing that really guarantees hair is...
And welcome back to the Fortitude podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sarah Wallace, and today I get the immense pleasure of interviewing my husband, Micah Wallace. He's in the hot seat here.
I trimmed my beard for this. So
you have to trim your beard to be able to answer questions effectively.
Yeah. And I cut my fingernails.
Wow.
So
really cleaned up.
Yeah, you're getting the best today.
The best version. The
Yeah.
best. The best. The best. The best of you.
The best. The best. The best. You just do that for an hour.
Skipping record.
Yeah, you got some good ones for me?
You think you're ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, let's go deep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Right off the booty bang?
Shall we just dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Oh, we're kind of matching.
I know. I definitely noticed that. Blue on blue.
As it goes.
Yep. I didn't even call each other.
We did not. Just walked out of the closet and we're matching.
I mean, I didn't.
Right.
Don't worry.
Well, let's just kick it off where it all began.
Okay.
For little baby Micah Wallace.
Aw.
I don't like that at all.
You don't?
No.
You don't like my baby sound?
No, it's freaky.
But it's pretty accurate.
That's why it's freaky. It freaks me out. So I'm like, stop. Your face gets all weird when you do it.
Well, I have to turn into a baby. I'm full method.
Well,
I go full method.
Yeah.
When I commit, I commit. So anyway, yes, I was born in. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say my year.
Oh, the year you were born?
Yeah,
Oh, why?
I was gonna give away my age.
Wait, you were born
because I'm gonna be 25 for the rest of my life.
Why? Why do you want to be 25 for the rest of your life?
Physically.
Oh, okay.
Not mentally, physically.
Okay.
I wish I could have, and I'm sure I'm going to say the same thing at 40 and 50 and 60, like have my like mature.
Yes.
But it's impossible. It's just like the paradox of life.
I
You're
know.
never going to have, because you have to go through life to mature.
Yeah.
And
When you
go through
life,
experiences.
your body gets more decrepit.
But there, I mean, there's that guy that's spending, I think, $2 million a year on keeping himself young. I think he like takes his son's blood and stuff.
What?
Yeah. I don't know. He does like a lot like red light therapy and all that stuff.
I've not heard of this.
You haven't?
No.
So maybe that's something to consider.
I mean, there's certain things you can do, but
Yeah.
I don't know about taking other people's blood. That freaks me out. What?
Yeah. I haven't looked exactly into it. That was just like a headline. You know how those go.
Sure. Like
Yeah.
what do they call that?
Clickbait?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
that's very clickbaity.
oh, yeah. I was born in Wisconsin, Broadhead, Wisconsin. Shout out to Broadhead, Wisconsin.
Nice.
Probably doesn't get a ton of shout outs just because it's so small.
It's a cute place.
It is a sweet place.
Yeah.
Town of 3,500 people, 3,600 people, 3,200 people. It depends on what sign you see. There's 3 or 4 different signs. Mm-hmm. It depends on what
which direction you come
in from. It says a different population, but it's around that. Like between 32 and 3,600.
Yeah.
And I actually lived in the country.
Yeah.
On like 100 acres of farmland that my grandparents owned. Mm-hmm. And so I was, farm grown.
It's pretty cool that you grew up in the house that your grandparents built. Right?
Yep. Yeah, my grandpa built our house. Our grandpa built our house. And we've been in there, I mean, my entire life.
Yeah.
And it's still in very good shape. It actually just survived a tornado.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was crazy. Yeah, there are pictures of, we had at least, I think, 60 trees at one point.
Yeah.
And we're down to like 20 or something like that. The tornado completely took out 3/4 of the trees surrounding the house, as well as the sheds. There were like 2 sheds that were decimated on the same property, and the house is untouched.
Yeah.
There were some shingles that got, like ripped off or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Nothing serious.
Nothing serious.
Yeah.
And I mean,
that is a miracle.
that's a miracle.
For sure.
God definitely had his hand on that.
Yeah.
It was crazy because I was FaceTiming my brother at the time. We were like playing a video game together. It was me, my oldest brother who lives in Taiwan, my brother in Wisconsin. I'm here in New York, and we're FaceTiming, and it's a way of like we're connecting. And he's like, "Oh, I gotta go to the basement. Apparently, we have a tornado warning."
Yeah, I remember
and so
that.
he went down, and we're on the FaceTime, or we're talking, and all of a sudden he's just like, we hear this loud crash. He's like, "Oh, I gotta go," and he hung up.
Yeah,
and
I remember that. And you're like, well.
And I was like, well, that's the worst way you can leave a conversation with your family. And so I was like kind of freaking out. I was texting him and he wasn't answering. And then, but like 10 minutes later, which 10 minutes in that like span feels like an hour.
Yeah.
He got back to me. He's like, I think we just got hit by a tornado. And so he was there and my mom, and they were in the basement, and they said it was just like 5 seconds of
really loud,
craziness,
right?
loud.
Yeah.
And then just nothing. Absolute
quiet. That's so freaky.
Yeah. Really crazy.
Mother Nature is nuts.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Mother Nature
Can't control it.
Just when you think you're in control, it kind of like
Yeah.
comes back and is like, tells you who's in charge.
Yeah. Have you ever been
especially like waters, like when floods happen and tsunamis and,
right.
But hurricanes, tornadoes, nature disasters are pretty wild.
I haven't ever experienced, been in the midst of a nature disaster. Have you?
I don't think so.
I haven't
like an earthquake? You haven't even done an earthquake?
I mean, yeah, but nothing, not like scary, nothing severe.
Well, we saw a tornado.
Yeah,
last
but
time we were home.
it wasn't scary.
No, it was a little ways away, but it was tearing up a town a little bit ago.
Yeah,
a little ways out.
Yeah.
So that's probably the closest thing.
Yeah.
That I saw.
Same, I guess.
So, so that was crazy. So yeah. So
anyway,
grew up on a farm.
House is still standing.
Praise God. We have a big family. There's 8 of us collectively, 6 siblings.
Yeah, 6 kids.
6 kids. Yes, mom, dad, and then I have 2 sisters and 3 brothers. So there's 4 boys, 2 girls, and I'm the second to youngest. And we were all homeschooled until high school.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people. Was that surprising when you found that out?
It was surprising when I found out.
No, you are a weirdo. No, not saying that all. Hey, shout out to the homeschoolers. Not saying you're all weird, but there is definitely a stigma,
of course,
for homeschoolers of like that you don't know how to communicate with human beings.
Don't know how to be social.
Or how to be social, which it depends on how you're. I think how it's done, because my parents did a really good job at making sure that we were in choir and show choir and basketball, football, baseball, different activities that we did during the summer to make sure we were around kids, so that when we went into high school, it wasn't like we were going in there and being like, what are these people?
So then were you doing those activities with the people that you were then going to be in school with?
Yeah.
So you already knew people when you went to school?
It was our grade.
Okay.
Like we would always do it with our grade, like flag football, basketball camp, all these things. It was a pretty easy transition to go into high school that way.
Yeah.
And I think why we had decent social skills going in, where people seem to always be surprised when I say that I was homeschooled. But
I feel like it's rarer these, like now when you meet people who are homeschooled, I feel like it's done differently now. Or I don't know, better. Obviously, I'm not an expert. I wasn't homeschooled. I've never homeschooled anyone. I know nothing. Yeah. But it seems like the more people I meet now who have been homeschooled, none of them are socially awkward. They're all great people.
Right. And I'm not saying for myself, but typically they get better grades.
Yeah.
In high school.
Yeah.
Like academically they seem to do better.
Do well. Yeah. Well, you and your siblings were all like at the top of your classes.
Yeah. Yeah. Three of us were salutatorian, 2 salutatorians, valedictorian, and then the others were, high, like top 10 of their class. Yeah. And that's just a testament to mom. And she was the one that schooled it. Yeah. So it's funny. My mom homeschooled us all. And then when we went to high school, our dad taught us English.
That was funny.
And so he was our teacher in high school in English and our coach. He coached football, basketball, track.
Oh,
And
wow.
So, yeah. So if you did any of those sports, you probably had him as a coach.
Yeah.
He was a great coach.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet he was a great teacher as well.
He was very good. He was
Yeah.
a very good teacher.
Yeah.
There was one time he had a rule where you would get, I think, 5 points as long as you showed up on time. As long as you showed up on time and you were there in class, you got 5 points. That would go towards your grade. And so, but if you were late, you got 0. You got a 0. And so there was one time, and I don't remember why, I don't remember where I was coming from.
Yeah.
But it was like I was cutting it really close, and I was like running throughout the high school to get to the class. And of course the class just loved that I was about to be late because they were like counting down, counting, like looking at the clock and counting down like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And literally
Hoping you were gonna
the
be
bell
late.
went ding, ding. And then I stepped in. It was like, I mean, probably 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Not within 5 seconds.
Yeah.
If that. It was like 3, 2, 1, ding, ding. I like come running in and everyone's like, yeah. And he goes, you're out of there.
Wait, did you have to leave?
No, he just goes like,
Oh.
you like got a 0.
Yeah.
I still got an A in this class. But that was funny.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun. So you had your parents.
He was very good at not favoriting.
Sure.
Like he was very much, he told us, like, especially in basketball,
Yeah.
parents can be
About sports.
a little bit
Sure.
much, when it
Sure.
comes to, like, they think that their kid is the absolute, LeBron James.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that's going to be us. Like,
Oh,
when we
100%.
have a kid, it's just going to be
Absolutely
like,
perfect.
they're a star.
Yeah.
Why aren't they getting time? But he was like, you have to prove to them why I'm starting you.
Sure.
And
Probably even had more pressure on you.
he
that way.
definitely did. He definitely, I think he was harder on us than he was other
Sure.
students.
Yeah.
For that reason, because he didn't want to show or seem like he was favoring us,
Yeah.
which I appreciated.
Of course. So you played sports.
I did.
You mentioned show choir.
Yeah.
Is that-
I don't know if that would consider a sport.
It is the way I've seen the videos of you doing it.
Hey, it was hardcore. Show
Yeah.
choir at Broadhead High School was a big deal. And the thing with that is, like, people are like, oh my gosh, it's like Glee or whatever. But for our school, like, football players were in show choir.
Yeah.
Football players, basketball players. I mean, it was the popular kids,
Yeah,
the
like,
cool kids.
everyone.
It was very much not like you weren't beat up for being
Sure,
in show
no one
choir.
made fun of you.
No, because
Yeah.
if you did, the football players would beat them up.
Sure.
Like, because they were literally like linemen.
Also in show choir.
Linemen. Like this guy who is in our high school, I think he got a full ride he got the discus and shot put record.
Oh, wow.
Both of those at our school for sure. And then went on to do it at the like D1 college level. He was like a crazy athlete when it came to that. He was in show choir.
Yeah,
And
come all. That's awesome. That's cool.
So it was awesome. So I feel like that's probably where I got the performing bug a little bit.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. So I did show choir. I also did basketball. Those were like my two main things.
Basketball
I
and
didn't
show choir.
do football.
Okay.
I did flag football, and then once high school happened, that's when tackle football began. And at that point, I was 4 toothpicks
Yeah, you were very skinny.
attached to 1 toothpick. And that's like, I would have been snapped in 5 different places if I got tackled. So I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I didn't start lifting until sophomore year of high school was when I wanted to get stronger for basketball.
Okay.
So I wasn't, getting pushed around as much.
Yeah.
So that's when that kind of started. And it literally started with me like benching the bar. I mean, it was seriously like that at that point.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, I don't care what people think.
Yeah.
Like this may look like I'm quote unquote weak, but I don't care because I just want to get stronger.
Yeah.
And get better.
Gotta start somewhere.
And then I did. Just like eventually I progressed and got up to, I think
Yeah.
my highest that I got up to, not to brag or anything, but was 265 at bench.
Is that a lot?
Which, I mean, I don't know. It was a lot for me, but I think a lot of other people, they rep that out pretty easily.
I mean,
But
I
for
still
where
only
I started,
can only bench the bar. So
I literally started barely benching the bar, and got up to that. I can't do that anymore. But it just goes to show it's like, no matter where you're at, like just don't care about what people are thinking about you if you're in the gym. I'm a huge advocate of working out. I just think it does so much to your mentality because there's so much, like, mind and body are so together.
Yeah.
When it comes to your mental health and your desire, your motivation, your drive, just what it does for your mentality, I think is so important. Like pushing through what's hard, like doing things that are hard like that, like working out is hard and it's painful. It's not comfortable.
Yeah.
I think that starts to train you and your mind to go after things that are uncomfortable and hard. And it's all one.
Yeah.
So
I think that applies to anything. It's not just working out. It's anything. Like you were saying, we weren't going to let the fact that you could barely bench the bar stop you from starting.
Right.
And so many people let the fear of what people are going to think or the fear of failure stop them from even starting.
Right.
And then they never make the progress because of fear.
Right.
That's not just in the gym. That's with any kind of pursuit,
Yep.
Like if you were doing theater or show choir and say it was something that people were going to make fun of, even things like that people really want to do, but they don't because they're afraid of what someone's going to think.
Yep.
So good on you when you were 16 years old.
I think I was like 16 or 17.
Where do you think that came from? Like, where do you feel like your mentality of kind of, I mean, obviously I didn't know you when you were that age. I met you when, how old were you when we met? That was 2015.
I think 16, 17.
What? 25, 24?
25 going on 26.
Okay.
When we met. I was 25 when we met.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because you've never, ever since I met you, you've never cared what anyone thinks. You've just always been yourself and been like, this is who I am. This is my personality. You can like take it or leave it. And not in an abrasive way, if that makes sense, but just in a way where you're just unapologetically yourself and you don't let like the fear of embarrassment stop you from doing the things that you want to do or just being who you are.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I definitely don't embarrass very easily.
I feel like I've asked you, I feel like we've had conversations with randomly with other people where it's like, what's your most embarrassing moment? And you're like, I really
it's
don't
hard
have
for me.
one.
It's hard for me to think. I'm like, I could say pooping my pants as an adult twice. I could say that, but like, I don't know. For
also,
me,
who cares?
I'm not like, I was like, I don't like, I think it's funny. Most people would probably say that's probably really embarrassing.
I guess, but it's also like, who was there?
You,
just me,
and my friends.
Yeah,
I know. I think that definitely would change a thing. If like I poop my pants in front of, like in a party, where I didn't know anyone, like that,
just in a crowd.
I just like completely lose function. No, that would be more. I think more embarrassing if it was doing something like that in front of people that I don't know very well.
Yeah.
I'm not a robot. It's not like I have no feelings, like certain comments or something like that can trigger me and different things. But for the most part, I didn't really care. I went to junior prom as me and my best friend in high school went as Dumb and Dumber. I was in a full orange suit. He was in a full blue suit, top hat, cane, everything.
Whole shebang.
My girlfriend at the time, such a trooper. She wore just like a black dress and an orange. What is this? I was going to say croissant, but that's not right. What's this called?
Orange
corsage?
Croissant. The corsage goes on your wrist.
Well, then what's this? Like a boot.
That's a boutonniere, but that's what guys wear.
Oh, she wears something.
Oh, she has something
orange.
pinned
That
to
was,
her?
Yeah. That was like matching my ridiculous orange
That
suit.
is a trooper, because orange is not everyone's color.
It's not mine. I don't think it's most people's color. I think some family members were a little like thinking that I was doing it for attention and stuff, and maybe that there was some part of that, but I think more than anything, I just thought it was gonna be super fun.
Yeah.
And something that I thought would be fun to do with my friend. And
Yeah.
I think it can just really hold you back a lot.
Of course.
And the older I get, the easier it is for me to not care as much about what people think, as long as I feel like I'm doing something. I obviously that's moral, ethical,
right?
In that thing, I'm not like doing something immoral.
Yeah.
And if somebody were to say like, hey, this is probably, my good friends or people that could pull me aside, that I care about. Like I care about those kind of thoughts, but those are coming from very select people.
Right. That's when you like build a specific and intentional circle of accountability in your life for people that are going to hold you to the standards that they know that you can live up to.
Right.
And that's not just anyone.
Right.
It's very few people.
I heard Tom Holland say in a podcast how it's like, if I don't have your contact and you don't have like in my phone, your opinion is like kind of irrelevant. He was talking more about like comments, hate, on social media and things like that.
Of course, none of that matters.
And so if you're not in my phone, like your opinion, you don't know me,
right?
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you are in my phone and you didn't call me again, then we probably aren't that close.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't text me or call me and say, personally check in and be like, hey, maybe this is wrong, or maybe do you think about this?
Yeah.
Again, probably not close enough for your opinion to matter that much.
Right. Or it's not something you would never say to someone on the phone or in a text.
Right.
Or face to face.
I think that rings true.
Yeah.
A lot, because there's a lot of angry people on the internet, especially, and now we don't really get much hate. No. 99% is very positive and supportive, and we are so thankful for all of you for just supporting us and being so kind and generous.
Really
and
encouraging.
People that have come up to us and said hi are always so kind. Yeah. And so we really appreciate that. Mm-hmm. If you're going to be posting on the internet, you've got to just be aware that there's going to be somebody that doesn't like you, and it 100% has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with us of why they don't like us. It's either triggering an insecurity or triggering something that makes them unhappy. This will just always be the case. Like, to say that there should never be, nobody should ever spout hate or never spout just like negativity is like asking the world to not be insecure anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's either, whenever I come up on something, and even in the thought of being like, oh my gosh, this is so fake, or this is so cringe, it's like, but I wouldn't comment that.
Right.
And even if I did, it's like, okay, well, where is that coming from, and why is that triggering me?
Why did I feel the need to do that?
Is it because it's so fake and cringe, or am I upset that they're actually really
trying
becoming
something
successful, and they have a lot of views, and it's like making me feel it's this comparison thing of like, I'm like, how annoying that this person is really succeeding,
right, and
I'm not. It always comes back to that, right? So there's always something deeper that's hitting. Mm-hmm. And if something is offensive, that means it's probably a seed of truth in it. Like if somebody says, your hair is blue, like your stupid hair is so blue and stupid. Like, would you get offended by that?
No.
Why?
Well, my hair is not blue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't get offended by things if you know for a fact they're not true.
100%.
But that comes down to your self-image, though.
And knowing who you are.
And knowing who you are and whose you are.
Yeah.
And so if you get triggered or offended by, like, when it comes to hitting your self-image, then it's probably because they said maybe there's a seed of truth in it that may not be actually true.
100%. That's what I was just going to say.
It's a true that you've believed.
Yeah, it's something that you believe.
It's maybe a lie that you've told yourself
for so long
about yourself.
Yep.
And they are hitting that button.
Yep.
So where did that come from? I'm not really sure.
It's always been you.
I've always kind of felt that way for as long as I've known.
Yeah.
And I think I asked Mom that too, and she's like, "You've always been that way."
Yeah.
Like
that's a blessing.
So very grateful for it.
Because I was not that way for most of my life. really held me back in many ways.
That like from like perfectionism, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just caring what people thought of me. So then being like, well, I don't want to do that because someone might think it's dumb, even though I want to do that. Or I don't want to do that, but I feel like I should because I don't want to get made fun of for not doing that.
Right.
So that's cool that as a teenager, you were still able to have that strength to be like, I don't care.
Right.
Because when we're teenagers, like we want to fit in. We want to fit in no matter how old we are.
I still want to be liked.
Of course.
Like, it's not like that went away. It's not like I was like, I don't care if nobody likes me.
That's just
no,
humans.
I do care that people like me. I still want people to like me.
Yeah.
There's still that.
Yeah. Switching gears.
Oh, okay.
So you said that that show choir was kind of the thing, like where you got that performing bug, or I know that in the journal that your mom gave me when we got married, so cool what your mom did, how she did that for all of the kids, where she writes down, she documents everything.
Yeah.
From
I think all the way up until college.
It was through college. Literally, like I'm mentioned in the journal.
Oh, it is. I think it's up until marriage. Or until we get married or something. I don't know. My mom literally did a journal for every single kid where she documented basically their life.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Up until certain points.
Yeah.
And then when we got married, she gave it to us and we got to like read it. And it is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really special.
Very, very cool.
We read it together. And in that, she talks a lot about, even from a young age, how you were always singing around the house and how that was always something that she wondered if you were going to pursue because you were from a young age, you were just naturally doing that. Do you have memories of that? Or
yeah, I was singing all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. My first job that I had was mowing. And so that was like my first time. I had 5 lawns, making $20 a lawn. You know, as a kid, I was rolling.
Absolutely.
You know,
raking it in.
And I would just be belting my face off to the point where I think the neighbors called the cops on me one time.
Really?
Yes. I think either for a noise complaint or they thought there was like something wrong.
Like you were screaming, like you were in pain or something, or like trying to get someone's attention.
Yes. And then the lady that I was mowing the lawn for was just like, oh no, he's just singing.
He sings. It's just what he does.
Yeah.
When did you know you wanted to pursue that professionally?
High school, I loved show choir and loved doing the musicals, but then like graduating, I actually went into music education first because I was like, well, there's probably more of a chance of me getting a job and a more quote unquote stable job in that.
Sure.
And so that was my thought process where I was like, the chances of actually making it as a performer are so slim and, you know, spending all this money on college and stuff.
Yeah.
But then after one semester, I was just talking to a music teacher and he's like, you need to do what you like are really passionate about. And you can always go back and get your education degree if you really want to do that. So then I switched gears and transferred into music theater and then did that and graduated with BFA in that. And then moved out to New York after that, like right after high school.
Yeah.
Graduated college. I mean, right after college, graduated college in 2014 and moved like the end of the summer in September, right after that.
Pretty cool that you're, you know, like Bryce and John, like you have college friends that are our dear friends still today.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I met in college and are like still two of my best friends. We roomed together. They were 2 of the roommates. If you saw our other podcast, which if you haven't yet, subscribe. It helps us out a lot, helps the algorithm. And if anything that we talk about could help anybody else that you can think of, send it their way. And that's why we started this, is to bring value, and hopefully what we've gone through or what we talk about can help somebody else.
Amen.
Yeah, there were 2 of our roommates when we were living with 6 people. You know, it was the 6 of us in one apartment for 4 years here in New York. Yeah. During COVID.
What a time.
For 2 of those years. Crazy time.
Was your plan, after you decided to pursue performing instead of education, was your plan always, when I graduate, I'm moving to New York?
Yeah. It was always New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was either LA for TV and film or New York for musical theater. Yeah. And that was it. Yeah. And so I chose musical theater because that's what I got my degree in.
Yeah. So then how was it when you came here? You have people here when you,
it was
community
an easy
here when you came
transition
here?
because I had one of my friends that I met doing a contract before, Corey and Charles. I met them doing a contract, and they got an apartment, and I just kind of stepped into that apartment. And so
nice.
it was an easy transition.
Yeah.
They helped me get a serving job right off the bat, and then I just did that and did the whole performing grind, doing the doing that and auditioning and such.
Wow. What would you say was the hardest thing about transitioning to New York?
Probably just moving away from family. I would say. Outside of that, I like felt at home when I came here.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know. It didn't feel overwhelming. I thought it was going to be a lot more overwhelming than it actually ended up being. But I just really liked the hustle and bustle of the city and the pace of it and stuff. Back when I was young.
We still like the pace.
No, I know we do.
Yeah. Maybe a better question would have been, what do you think is a lesson that you learned in that transition?
That everything is temporary.
Yeah.
Contracts, jobs, everything is temporary.
Yeah.
And that has been kind of a motto that I've been like, especially when there's been tough seasons that I've gone through, that motto of like, this too shall pass / like everything is temporary can be very helpful,
of course,
to get through that of just being like, there's a time limit on this. I don't know how long or what that time limit is, but there's going to be a time limit. And that goes for both ways of like really awesome seasons of blessings and things that come along. And I think that can help you become a little bit more appreciative and a little bit more living in the moment to know that like, hey, eventually this is going to end. So like, let's just really live this up and appreciate this for what this is. It's
kind of backtracking a little bit, but a lot of people, when we asked for questions about what people wanted to know, asked about your journey with your faith. And if that's how you grew up, if you grew up in a Christian home, when you found that for yourself as an adult, like what was that journey like for you?
I grew up in a Christian home, grew up as a Christian, but I feel like it wasn't until college when I started to actually build a relationship with, God and Christ. Because up until that point, I was just kind of, I was going to church. I was going through the motions, going to church because my parents went to church. And that's just what we did. Yeah. But until you like start to step out on your own, become an adult, and you're not under your parents' payment plan and all these things that you have to actually start doing things on your own, you start to now rely a little bit more on prayer and God and things. That's when I started to get closer in that category. My faith journey, it's like ebbing and flowing. Like where there are certain moments, it's like embarrassing to say because I wish I could say that I've been this saint of a person that just I wake up and I pray for an hour and I go to bed and I pray for it, and it's like I'm in the Word every single day, and I'm studying it, and there's just like times when I'm not, and every time I've gotten into a habit of prayer, I have definitely noticed a difference. Yeah. And it's just funny for when you think about, I think you talked about this before of like your priorities, your pillars of like, what's the top priority? Yeah. And as a person of faith, you always say, people usually say like, well, God first, and then family, and then, career. Yeah. When it comes to actually your bandwidth and your time and what you put into it, it typically flips up. And that's definitely the case for me. And it sounds bad, but I feel like the way that you can start that is like anything, like working out in the beginning, you need to schedule it in your calendar. Yeah, for sure. And put it in your calendar, stay consistent with it. And then you start to see results. And the same thing, I think, for spending time in the Word and praying. Yeah. That's when you can start to grow your faith and grow more of a connection and relationship with a higher power, with God, whatever you believe in.
I don't think that sounds bad because that's what you have to do with an earthly relationship. Right. Like with a marriage, we have to schedule time That's for us.
Right.
Otherwise, all time is business time versus like personal time where we're just having quality time as husband and wife. And you have to schedule those things. And it's the exact same. Anyone you want to build a relationship with, you have to schedule time to be in a relationship with them. And that's just how it is. I think that it's no different with God. We have to plan it or else it's not going to happen.
Absolutely.
Another common inquiry about your hair loss journey.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, when I met you, you had a full head of hair. I had no idea that you'd had a hair transplant, but people always asking like, why get the procedure? When did you start losing your hair? Why did you choose to get the procedure? All things like that.
This kind of going back to your question of like, you never cared about what people thought.
Yeah.
Well, this was an area that
Sure.
I did, but it was more about myself and
Yeah.
my own self-conscious and insecurity
Yeah.
around this. It wasn't necessarily of anybody pointing it out.
Yeah.
But I at 18 years old started balding. So like senior in high school, and it was like aggressive. By the time I graduated college, it was extremely thin up top.
Yeah.
The receding hairline was like back here in the middle of my head. I have pictures of it.
Yeah.
Since I was in musical theater and I wanted to be a lead
Yeah.
in shows,
Right.
I didn't see a ton of bald guys.
Right.
And not to say that you can't be,
Right.
because I know there are like Vin Diesel, The Rock, there are plenty of, I know there are plenty of options.
Yeah.
But for the majority, especially in theater,
Theater is different.
in theater, not
theater
not
is slightly
TV and film,
different
in
than
theater.
Yeah.
I just saw a lot of full head of hair.
Yeah.
And so it was just something for me personally, I was really self-conscious about. And so, I have tried everything under the sun.
Yeah. You have, and you're very diligent with
I'm
everything that you
extremely
do.
diligent.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of, you can do your own research, but there's a lot of different ways that you can prevent, preventative measures. You can take finasteride. There's different doses of that can help block DHT, which is the hormone that makes your hair loss in guys. So that's one. Minoxidil, which is a common ingredient in Rogaine, which helps stimulate.
That's
hair.
topical.
That's topical or oral. They
Okay.
have both. That can help with stimulating hair growth. It kind of brings blood flow, basically. It's not guaranteed to
Sure.
give you new hair.
Sure.
That's the thing. The only thing that really guarantees hair
Yeah.
is a hair transplant.
Sure.
I've done red light laser therapy. I continue to do that. I do all of that.
Yeah.
And that's, again, another way to stimulate hair growth by bringing more attention to the scalp and blood flow. And I think all those things have definitely helped slow down the process, but nothing brings back hair as that I've noticed in myself
Sure.
as much as a hair transplant.
Right.
Because you're literally taking hair follicles
Right.
and putting
them there.
on top.
Yeah.
Putting your own hair follicles from the back and the sides and putting it on top.
Yeah.
And I did that in 2014. That was the first one that I did. And it totally, my confidence went through the roof because of it. Now, hair transplants, I totally understand that it's very much like a privileged thing to be able to do. There are financial, or there are cheaper ways of doing it if you want to like go overseas and stuff. It's just, you want to do a lot of research, make sure that it's a board certified doctor, a hair person, to be able to do that. But, cause it's on the pricier side of things to be able to do that. But for me, it was worth it because it really helped my confidence. Yeah. And so that was a big thing for me. So when if we're talking about self-image and insecurities and something that I've been self-conscious about, it's definitely been that. Yeah. That's a hard topic because some people are like, you should be happy with what God made you. Yeah. Like how God made you. Yeah. Like you should be happy in that. And I agree. I agree to that. Like, if you are super secure in who you are and you're totally bald and you're just embracing that, that's awesome. Right. That's amazing. Yeah. I think that's so great. Not everybody should get one, but for me, it was a confidence thing. Yeah. And it made a difference in my life. And if you have the means and if you are, we have the technology to be able to do something. Yeah. and you want to do it, then I don't see a problem with that.
I mean, I kind of liken it to being like, oh, I'm not going to wear makeup because God didn't make my eyelashes black, so I don't get to make my eyelashes black. Like, no, I'm going to be wearing some makeup because I feel I just have a different air about myself when I'm wearing makeup because I feel more put together. Obviously, it's not as extreme as a hair transplant, but there are small things that we all do daily that make us feel better about ourselves.
Yeah.
And what's wrong with that? From the way that we dress to the way that we style our hair.
I mean, even
to
like
anything.
nose jobs and chin and like different things like that sometimes people look down upon it in a way, which I just don't necessarily agree with.
It all comes back around to the like, who are we to judge someone else's choice?
Totally.
And that's that.
Yeah. And that's that.
Has being in a relationship / being married helped you grow in character?
Yes, absolutely. I think it helps you grow in patience in a lot of areas because you're choosing to be with somebody who is going to inevitably annoy you in some way. And
of course.
that sounds bad, but it's just like, we're all human beings and you're just never going to find somebody that's absolutely perfect in every single way. And nobody is.
Yeah.
That was something that in the past, I think I talked about this in the last podcast, but where I thought as soon as I would like somebody, but then as soon as there was something that was like
not
annoying
exactly right.
or irking or not right or some quote unquote flaw, as bad as that sounds, I was like, well, there's probably somebody more like the one for me.
Yeah, totally.
Like that whole notion. I know that we get a lot.
Yeah,
we get a lot of comments.
I was going to say another one.
When did you know she was the one?
Yes, that's such a common question.
I knew she was a one. I didn't know if she was the one. There was no real moment.
Yeah.
We just we continued to get to know each other, cultivated a relationship. As we continued to build a relationship and grow together, it just became a choice. It comes down to a choice.
Yeah.
And I chose you.
I'm happy that you did.
Oh.
Back at you. What advice would you give to a younger version of yourself?
Oh, boy. The effort is more important than results. Praising effort more than the results that you get. Because society does that enough.
Yeah.
Where we get so results driven and performance driven. But to praise the effort.
Yeah. How far someone has come.
Yes. And how far you've come.
Yeah.
And the effort that took to get there.
Yes.
As opposed to just the result in general.
Yes. That's a good one. That's a powerful one. Okay. Ready for some fun ones?
Love it.
Some of them are similar to the ones you asked me. So what's your cocktail of choice?
My first brain goes to old fashioned.
Your first brain.
my first brain.
My second brain.
My first thought goes to a mezcal old fashioned.
Ooh, yeah.
Or actually a mezcal Negroni. Oh, I like either one of those. Okay, it's. I would say the first one is old fashioned. I love an old fashioned.
Okay.
A smoky old fashioned.
Yeah.
If they have that.
If they have that. What's a pet peeve of yours that I do?
Okay, you've gotten better at this.
Uh-oh.
She loves to clean and has a hard time stopping cleaning when we're trying to have to be productive in something, or like after I just finish making a meal. Again, you've gotten a lot better at this, but like just finished making a meal. I'm like, it's ready. And then she just continues to do her task. And my cooking and my hard work is getting cold and it's not going to be as good.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, no, you need to can you
drop
come
everything?
Right
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
What's your favorite musical?
West Side Story. Or Next to Normal.
Oh, the dramas.
I know.
What's your favorite Disney movie?
Oof. Lion King.
Oh,
if we're going
so good.
Yeah, if we're not counting Pixar.
No. What's your favorite go-to weeknight dinner?
Well, we're snackers.
I thought you were going to say cheese and crackers.
I was going to say, that's what I was going to say. I was like, we're snackers. We always eat cheese and crackers all the time, which is a nice, well-balanced meal.
Uh-huh. Very colorful.
I love a salmon. I love a salmon and on a salad.
Yeah, that has been a go-to for us.
And it tastes so good.
Yeah, it is. It tastes so healthy too.
Yes.
What's your favorite family tradition from when you were growing up?
For Easter, we would do football. We would do 2-hand touch football, and it was my dad's side. And we would do that every Easter, and that was super fun.
That's really fun.
Yeah, it was.
Aw.
And then everybody got older and more lazy.
Sure.
Including myself.
Yeah.
I was like, that just sounds like so much work. And so then that kind of died out. But as a kid, that was a fun tradition to grow up on.
Last one.
Okay.
Can you cook?
Of course. I am the cook.
He is the cook.
I am the
I
cook.
do not cook.
She doesn't.
And you
But
do a great
when you
job.
do, you do a good job.
Yeah, but I just like unthaw things that were frozen.
That's
or
something.
dump a salad from a bag into a bowl.
Yeah.
I can do that well, and I cannot overdress it.
That's true. That's true. You're good at not overdressing it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And that concludes our interview.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, that was fun.
That was fun. Thanks for everything you shared, babe.
Of course.
I feel like we need a part 2 to go deeper on some things and some things we didn't even touch on that I would love to talk about.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll have to touch on those later on.
Yes, we will. Thank you. And if you haven't yet, please leave us a review.
Yes.
It helps push our podcast out there so it can reach as many people as possible. We wanted to do this so we could bring value to people, and your reviews get this in front of more people's faces,
I
which is what we
hear
want.
5 stars is preferable. So
Preferable.
if you want to give us 5 stars, that'd be great.
We appreciate you all very
Yes.
much.
We like to end our podcast by saying
Goodbye.
Wow, you really came in aggressive.
Hope I didn't blast out your
You went
eardrums.
absolutely bass, but full belt bass.
Yeah, I was being a troll.
You were being a troll?
Yeah, that's what I was channeling.
We talked about trolls.
Can't wait.
Internet
Can't wait to
trolls.
see it. Oh,
You do love Trolls, the movie, though.
they're great movies.